Tonight, Igbo social cultural organization Ohanaeze Ndigbo mandates its leaders to ensure the Igbos produce the country's next president in 2023. Police authorities arrest 16 suspects over the recent spate of attacks on security operatives, especially in the southeast, as IGP task force arrives in Makurdi to begin investigation into the attack on Governor Samuel Ortom. Christian faithful in Nigeria and other parts of the world celebrate Palm Sunday, symbolizing the first day of the Holy Week. And killing of over 100 anti-coup protesters in Myanmar draws global outrage, with defense ministers of 12 countries condemning the military. Plus sports and more international news. Members of the Igbo Apex Social Cultural Group, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, have mandated its leaders to ensure that the region produces the country's next president come 2023. This was their decision following a meeting with some Southeast leaders and governors in the region. Members say, going by the rotational arrangements of the presidency since the country's return to democracy, it is only fair that the region also leads the nation at some point. Our correspondent, Eyitope Kuti, reports.
It is the first Ohanaeze Elders Council meeting under the leadership of Professor George Obiozor, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. In attendance are traditional, religious and political leaders from the southeast, including governors of Ebonyi and Imo states. The press is then excused out of the meeting, and after 3 hours of intense deliberation, the President General of Ohanaeze Ndigbo speaks to journalists on the outcome of the meeting, which, according to him, is on the way forward and development of the Igbos, especially as it concerns security.
A federation that makes it possible for any section to dominate the power or monopolize the power or take a disproportionate portion or share of national resources. That federation becomes completely a precarious one, unstable, political instability, conflict, because that is a form of inbuilt injustice.
On the issue of a president of Igbo extraction in 2023, he says it's no more a probable ambition, but a possible ambition, maintaining that zoning must be put into consideration.
It is a righteous cause for Igbo man to become president of Nigeria. It will be well deserved. The importance of zoning in Nigeria is as important for Nigeria's own survival as breathing is to human being. Believe me, anybody who doesn't respect zoning in any form in Nigeria is acting in a way that actually demonstrates that they haven't started politics in Nigeria.
The host governor, Hope Uzodinma, speaks on the efforts of the Southeast leaders in tackling security in the region.
We discussed, among other things, the security situation in the country and how, at our local level, we can complement the efforts of federal government to ensure that the security is guaranteed in our region. You will agree with me that federal government alone cannot be left with this business of managing security in Nigeria without the contribution of individuals and citizens. So we must also rise to the occasion as responsible citizens of this country to ensure that all these miscreants are not allowed to derail our country.
The consensus at this meeting is for the leadership of Ohanaeze Ndigbo to go into direct talks with other ethnic groups and government at all levels on ways of finding a lasting solution to the myriad of problems facing the nation. Eyitope Kuti, Channels Television News.
To security, the Nigeria police has arrested 16 suspects, including a pastor, for their alleged involvement in a series of violent and unprovoked attacks on security operatives and facilities in some states, particularly in the southeastern part of the country. In a statement, the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Frank Umba, explained that the arrest was made in collaboration with the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Air Force following sustained and intelligence-driven sting operations. Some of the items recovered from the suspects include sophisticated firearms, live ammunition, improvised explosive device, camouflage bulletproof vests, walkie-talkies, and other incriminating items. The statement further states that the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has restated that the force will not tolerate any further attack on its personnel or any citizen by any individual or group under any guise whatsoever. The IGP assures that the law enforcement agents have gathered sufficient intelligence on the attackers and are closing in on scores of suspects already implicated in the attacks, either directly or indirectly for financing, aiding, and abetting the criminals. Meanwhile, in continuation of ongoing investigation into reported attacks on the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, a special investigation task force has arrived in Makurdi, the state capital. The team, led by Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari, is made up of operatives from the Tactical Investigations Unit of the Force Intelligence Bureau and other experienced crack detectives with specialized competencies in crime scene investigation and reconstruction, ballistics, fingerprint analysis, and other core areas of forensics. Now, according to the Force Public Relations Officer, the team is expected to take over and consolidate all ongoing investigations into the incident and ensure that all persons linked to the matter are apprehended and brought to book. The team is expected to liaise and work with the Benue State Police Command and other relevant members of the law enforcement community to ensure that they deliver on their mandates. Staying with security, it's been agonizing for families of 39 students abducted from the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization in Afaka, Kaduna State, who have been anxiously waiting for over 2 weeks for some news positive about their children. In this report, our correspondent Emperor Simon unearths a report, the story behind the abduction, and how the families of the victims are coping.
Sad faces, tearful eyes, mournful moments. This is the mood of families whose loved ones are among 39 students abducted over 2 weeks ago.
They are failures.
It's a sorrowful moment, especially for the Shamakis, whose father, 61-year-old Ibrahim Shamaki, died of cardiac arrest 15 days after his first daughter, Fatima, was abducted by the gunmen.
They caused hypertension to him, which led to his death. We will never forgive them.
The situation is the same in all the homes we visited, as parents, one after the other, share their feelings with us.
We are here, our children are there. Nothing to do. We cannot help them. Our leaders are not doing anything. They are failures.
When we hear say the kidnapper need $500 million, that day, now porch I begin push that very day.
We set out to dig for the truth about what happened the night of March 11th, 2021. Zachary Mogauri, a higher national diploma HND2 student of Agri-Farm Power Engineering Department of the college, is one of those who witnessed the attack.
11:15, Thursday night. The resident started telling us that we should come out. Our guy wants to see us. Which our guy again? We now see men with arms. They are all holding guns. More than 40 of them. Half of them are wearing soldiers' uniform, half of them are wearing black shirt.
He tells us how he managed to escape from the attackers.
I ran out of the guest hostel and I hit one of the bandits on his chest. He fell down. Before he started on his feet, I've already gone far and it's dark. He now shot me twice. And God so kind, the bullet missed me. That was when the school knew that something is going wrong.
Another student, Bala Aminu, gives us his own version.
A guy was shouting, "You guys should run the kidnappers in the college. You guys should run kidnappers in the college." I was like, taking it as a kind of joke. You know, guys sometimes do things like that. So not until I saw the guy coming, struggling with himself, I saw him in blood, bleeding.
At the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, we visit the female hostel where 23 female students were said to have been abducted. It's now under lock and key, but adjacent it is another hostel opened but deserted. Next is the male hostel. It's locked, but through the window, we're able to see property left behind by the students. 16 male students had been abducted from here. From the hostel, we're led to see how the attackers invaded the school. It's a walk through a thick forest situated behind the male hostel.
The bandits who came couldn't make their way into the school because of the perimeter fence. So they took time to bore a hole on the perimeter fence. How long it took them, nobody can tell. But one thing is certain, that the 39 students who were abducted from the college were taken through this hole, one after the other.
Friday, 26 March 2021, representatives of the affected parents meet with government officials on the invitation of the state government. The meeting holds behind closed doors. After 2 hours, the meeting ends, but the looks on the faces of the parents doesn't seem like there was a positive outcome.
We met the government and we submitted our appeal to them. That is all what we did to them, but I can assure you we still have no hope.
Now Augusta of itself, the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, AFACA, is at the verge of losing its students who no longer find the school safe to continue their academic pursuits. It's been 17 days since 39 students of the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, AFACA, were abducted, but there seems not to be rescue in sight. However, it does appear there might be some moves behind the scene. Anyway, I shall return here, hopefully, when the good news of the rescue of the students breaks. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Staying with security, given the current security challenges facing the country, governments at all levels need to be held accountable and develop a holistic framework for tackling the issues. That's a position advanced by Minister of Transport, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, using the Niger Delta region where he comes from as an example. The minister blamed some of the political elite for creating an environment of high unemployment and poverty, leading to a rise in criminality.
What the people need is the ability to create employment. That's what the people need. People need to put food on their table. The people need to know that the environmental conditions that exist in Nigeria Delta should not continue to exist. They need to know that you must go by global standard in oil production. They need to know that they will have benefits. But those benefits, there are two arguments to the benefits. There are those who say that huge amount of money has been sent to Nigeria Delta and the developments are not commensurate to the amount of money that has been sent. There are those who make that argument. Correct. But both the federal government and the Nigeria Delta must hold their government accountable in the resources that come to Nigeria Delta so that we can develop Nigeria Delta. Now, what are the issues of development? Most governors think that if you construct road, you're finished. So they call people who have constructed road. What about primary schools? What about secondary school? What about human capital development? When we were there as governors, we constructed those roads. We didn't call anybody to come and commission them because even my son, if you make him a governor, he can construct a road. What it takes to construct a road is to pay a contractor to go and construct a road. And there's an engineer in the state government that will do design with the contractor. But what is a bit more difficult is human capital development. Because if you put the Nigeria Delta people into human capital development and create opportunities for them when they come back to be able to function, then you reduce crime, then you reduce agitation. But currently, that's not what's going on. If, therefore, we deal with human capital development, industrial development, power, I'm not against road, including road. Then as you create this infrastructure, you create employment opportunities. So, yes, there's poverty in the Niger Delta. There's poverty in the north. There's poverty in the southwest. Government must carry out a comprehensive program. That was why I opposed amnesty.
You can watch the full interview with Mr. Rotimi Amechi, the Minister of Transport. It airs tomorrow, Monday, March 29th, 2021, right here on Channels Television at 9 p.m. In part two, after the break, Christian faithful in Nigeria and other parts of the world celebrate Palm Sunday, symbolizing the first day of the Holy Week. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Igbo socio-cultural group Ohanaeze Ndigbo mandates its leaders to ensure the Igbos produce the country's next president in 2023. Police authorities arrest 16 suspects over the recent spate of attacks on security operatives, especially in the southeast, as IGP task force arrives in Makurdi to begin investigation into the attack on Governor Samalotom. Christian faithful in Nigeria and other parts of the world celebrate Palm Sunday, symbolizing the first day of the Holy Week. And killing of over 100 anti-coup protesters in Myanmar draws global outrage, with defense ministers of 12 countries condemning the military. It is Palm Sunday, an annual feast in the Christian calendar that marks the transition from Lent into the Holy Week that leads up to Easter. Palm Sunday symbolizes the entry of Jesus Christ into Jerusalem, where he triumphantly rode on a donkey a week before his resurrection. The event is recounted in each of the 4 canonical Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. According to the Holy Bible, as he entered into the city of Jerusalem, people laid down their cloaks, palm leaves, and small tree branches on the ground before him, singing, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. We bless you from the house of the Lord." Well, here in Nigeria, as you can see, some churches also commemorated this high point in Christ's public life with a church service. The parish priest of Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Lagos, Reverend Father Ebenezer Akinduro, believes that this is a time for Christians to submit totally to God, given the various challenges confronting the country.
Christ has come into the world to lay down his life to die for us. So we are gradually moving towards Holy Week, where silence is all over on the earth, and after it comes Resurrection Sunday. Our country, Nigeria, is passing through a dark moment now. The only solution to it is to give everything to Christ, to submit to him, and to pray to him. More importantly, to have his emulation of love, not of greediness, because greediness is not in Christ. What we are passing through in our country, Nigeria, today is out of greediness. Some set of persons want to have things to themselves, whereas God has given us everything in Nigeria that could cut across everybody and make life better. We pray at this period that we are going into Holy Week, that the Spirit of God will help us, and the death of Jesus Christ will touch the heart of our leaders and Nigerians to be able to reconcile back to God, and in humility ask God to help us to be humble and to love one another as Christ has loved us.
It's another news that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has said it can no longer bear the burden of petrol subsidy payments in the country. What many Nigerians want to know, however, is the implication of this recent pronouncement by the NNPC boss, Mr. Mele Kyari. In this next report, our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, examines the fundamentals of the downstream oil sector in Nigeria, especially with respect to subsidy payment.
The coronavirus outbreak and consequent lockdowns in many parts of the world, including India, Germany, Italy, countries in Africa and the United States, contributed to an oil slump from the highs of $67 a barrel to as low as $25 to a barrel of crude. As countries cut back on expenditures amidst compressing economy and lockdown, Nigeria joined by finding a domestic solution. Oil revenues account significantly for our expenditure framework. So in March 2020, the Group Managing Director NNPC Malam Mele Kyari announced there is no subsidy and it is zero forever. Going forward, there will be no resort to either subsidy or under recovery of any nature. Thursday, September 11, 2020, the federal government, through the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Tim Priye Silva, said it expects to save as much as 1 trillion naira or $2.6 billion annually and create massive jobs following the removal of fuel subsidy.
Ones out there that are shouting, hey, let them remove subsidy should be removed, but they don't know the core, what comes with the regulation.
There could have been another review in March of this year in response to market realities like landing cost, which report says is in the region of 200 naira and above. But with the return to status quo, it simply meant someone somewhere is and has bought the differential which Nigerians should have paid. Today, maybe we know that entity. It's perhaps a very loud cry.
I can confirm to you that NNPC may no longer be in position to carry that burden.
Let's do some elementary math. At the landing cost of PMS for 211, for instance, and the product being sold, say, at 167 naira to the litre, finding the difference will be 211 minus 167, which will give you 44 naira. Let's see other factors. NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum products. Nigeria's daily consumption of PMS is put at 35 million and above. So if we benchmark that at 35 million litres a day, it will be 35 million litres multiplied by 44 naira, and that will bring it to about 1.54 billion naira daily differential, now turned burdened. Some points to note. The downstream oil and gas sector in Nigeria has been deregulated in March of 2020, a situation many people have not paid attention to. Nigeria's current budget has no provision for subsidy spending, and by implication, federal government will no longer pay the differential on the landing cost of petrol, which it has always done. As the price of crude oil per barrel gains in the global oil market, price of petrol in Nigeria will stay up. Fundamentally, fuel pump price will now be a reflection of market realities like crude oil price, dollar rates, summer and winter periods, freights, landing costs, and so on. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Data Science is an information consultant here at Channels Television. Babajide Ogunsanwo is here to share insights into the issue at hand, which is the deregulation of the oil sector and whether or not oil prices are going to go up. Babajide, great to see you. So Nigerians have heard these words over and again. Subsidy, under recovery, over recovery, they're not new. But the NNPC has now revealed that it cannot continue to bear the cost, of the regulation, which costs more than 100 billion naira every month. Why are we still talking about this today?
We need to go through history to understand why petrol is so very important. And that's because precisely 10,000 days ago, I'm talking about November 8, 1993, that was the date where for the very first time, Nigerians started to pay for petrol in naira. Prior to November 8, 1993, Nigerians had been paying for petrol in kobo. And on this day, the president, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, moved the petrol price from 70 kobo to 5 naira. November 8, 1993. Here's why this was important for the 50 million adult Nigerians. It was like a nuclear bomb. Less than 10 days after this decision was made, Sani Abacha took over. Again, that lets you understand how attached and how emotionally connected Nigerians are to petrol. Now, there's some good news and there's some bad news. Let's start with the good news. The good news, going by what the NNPC has released, billions of naira that goes into fuel payments as a differential every day. It simply means if this is stopped, the government will have more money to pump into health, education, and military budgets. Now, here's the bad news. The bad news shows that post-fuel expenditure, families will have less money available. Especially for northern families, it simply means that it will become harder for them to keep their children in schools. Whenever it becomes harder to keep their children in schools, it simply means the school dropout rate will rise. When school dropout rate rises, then the number of unemployable Nigerians will also rise. Whenever the number of unemployable Nigerians rise, then the frustration rate will increase. Whenever frustration rate increases, crime rate increases. And whenever crime rate increases, it gets us to that bus stop that Fela described as everything don't scatter.
So why is it difficult then to keep petrol prices stable?
We will have to look at what has really happened, not just globally, what has happened in Nigeria since 1970. And the evidence, like you've said, has shown that in Nigeria, whatever goes up does not always come down, especially with petrol prices. And if we focus on the chart that is about to come up, here's what you notice. We've seen petrol go from 5 kobo in 1970 to 20 naira in 2000, and now 165 by 2020. We had seen it at 145 naira. If you follow these trends, you will see that pump price, the retail pump price, has consistently gone up, which simply means that if we look at the next decade, we're in 2020 now, 2021, the evidence does show that following these trends without preempting, by 2030, even before we get to 2030, these prices will rise. What is really connected to petrol price rise is two major things: the cost, the exchange rate, the naira to dollar exchange rate, and the global price of crude oil. Those are the two major things. But here's why Nigerians are concerned. And that is, we've seen a lot of people discuss that petrol price in Nigeria is relatively cheaper, especially when you compare it to the developed economies, Saudi Arabia and the US. That is true. But Amarachi, I want you to listen carefully to this. While petrol price is cheaper in the US and in Saudi Arabia, we need to look at it relative to the income of families there. And one way to look at it is to look at the median income, or to look at the minimum wage. In today's Nigeria, your 30,000 naira minimum wage, if all you decided to do with it was to buy fuel, you will only be able to buy 180 liters. In the United States and Saudi Arabia, with your minimum wage, you can buy 1,500 liters of fuel. And so whenever we're having that discussion on the price of petrol, we need to look at the affordability for citizens. That is the challenge, not that price.
I think that's what a lot of Nigerians have been harping on. But very quickly, is the regulation of the petrol price a change in policy or program of the government?
What we see is that the government is going more towards, is leaning towards the private sector in some certain areas. We're seeing possibility of highway concessions. We are seeing the government trying to look at fully deregulating these petrol prices, while we also see the government still playing heavily on some certain areas, especially the refinery. But let's look at these big numbers. The big numbers, petrol pump price under President Buhari. And we've seen now 9 times the petrol price has changed. This is the gold standard. Prior to now, former President Obasanjo had that record. Under his period, we saw petrol price change 7 times. Now we've seen petrol price change. The first was a good move from a lot of Nigerians, which was on the 1st of January 2016, there was a drop in petrol price by 50 kobo. But after that, we've seen petrol price move to 145 naira, 125 naira. August 05 last year, we saw 148 naira, and that has been the journey. So for the president, the journey started with trying to reduce the petrol price. The reality now is that the country is no longer earning sufficient revenue, and for the government, petrol and paying that subsidy seems to be a luxury.
Wow, Babajide, thank you so much for breaking it
down. You know, in the final analysis, we're in difficult times. Difficult times can define you. Difficult times can diminish you, but difficult times can develop you. But you will have to take the decision.
Well, that's up to us, everyone, I guess. Thanks again for showing up tonight.
The pleasure is all mine.
When the News at 10 returns, though, Rivers State Government bestows the second highest honor in the state to Grammy Award winner, Burna Boy. Join us again. Welcome back. Weeks after the CBN halted cryptocurrency transactions in deposit money banks, the directive continues to draw mixed reactions. Industry experts are now proffering solutions to end the quagmire. While some believe capacity building for both regulatory and law enforcement agents will do the trick, others believe the government needs to create an enabling environment for players in the digital currency sector. In this next report, our technology correspondent, Victor Matthias, takes a look at the debate around regulating cryptocurrencies and what needs to be done for the sector to thrive.
The Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to restrict cryptocurrency transactions by commercial banks drew the ire of Nigerians, especially those playing in the sector, leading to debates as to whether or not the directive was for the better as being touted by the Apex Bank.
CBN has to do what they have to do, right, to protect investors, to protect the monetary and fiscal policy. It's left for the entrepreneurs and the innovators in the space to work around that and comply with that.
While some countries are reaping the benefits of regulation, experts believe an enabling environment has to be put in place before such issues are raised.
Singapore not just created a regulatory instrument, but they actually created an instrument for legislation of crypto-based type of asset. Australia also had done the same. You have Estonia, they've done the same. Then if you take a look at in UK, you take a look at US, they are not stifling technology. They're all creating enabling environment for that. And that's the kind of thing that we expect from the industry.
The best thing for the government to do is give the environment, suitable environment, give the platforms, give the crypto industry in Nigeria a suitable platform to thrive. With that, it will be easier to tax the billions you want in future. It will be easier to get the data you want in future. But fighting it now, if they use technology to win, you'll be the one begging them to come back.
However, for law enforcement agencies to be able to tackle the menace, there is a need for capacity building.
Genuinely, the fear is there, but of course there are tools, and you must not do that layback. You must, as a bank, as regulator, as a country, develop the capacity of the law enforcement, develop the capacity of the regulator to be able to check these things and be on top of it.
There's a need for collaboration, there is a need for capacity building, and the industry players, they have a lot of roles to play here by letting government know what and how they can go about this.
For now, experts say intending and existing investors in digital currencies can mitigate risks and avert fraudulent activities by ensuring their investments and engaging in research before venturing into the trade. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun has reassured residents and investors of his commitment to the completion of all abandoned projects across the 3 senatorial districts of the state to justify the huge taxpayers' resources expended on those projects. He gave the assurance while inspecting a number of road projects under Ogun Central and West senatorial districts of the state.
The 53-kilometer Ayesoro Rounder Road is a major arterial road that connects Ogun Central and West senatorial districts of the state. Awarded by the immediate past administration, the project suffered a setback.
When they started this road, our aim is that maybe they will finish the other side. We learned that it's only this side that they want to do. And we are pleading to the government they should help us, especially this Rounder Road. It's the worst road in this Abeokuta.
This may have been put to rest as the state government has mobilized contractors and equipment to the site with asphalt laying of the road. Governor Dapo Abiodun is here to see how far work has gone. After the necessary briefing from the contractors and the State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, he passes his comment.
I am informed that the contractor has faced a lot of difficulties on this project because of the terrain and the type of soil. They've had to excavate deeper than they anticipated. And as such, of course, it's caused them to spend more than was budgeted for. I have noticed that there are areas and pockets of parts of this project that require immediate attention, particularly the part and area towards the Laftawa market, which is extremely very deplorable. I've consequently instructed the contractor to move to that part of this project. I mean, immediately make it motorable so that it can bring the needed relief to the traveling passengers going from Abeokuta and going to Ayetoro.
The governor also led his entourage to the ongoing reconstruction of the 4.5-kilometer Pansheke-Opako Road, where he promised to complete all abandoned projects left by his predecessor.
We set up a committee to review projects that we inherited from the Otumagbe Gadani administration to my immediate predecessor, so that we can have an objective assessment on which routes deserve a priority. And this was picked up, and we have since committed resources to ensuring that the road is completed. So when people start talking about someone abandoning somebody's project, I hope that this is one of the things that lays that to rest.
The inspection tour was rounded off with the inspection of the reconstruction of the elite Idiaba Road, also in the state capital, where enthusiastic residents cheered and commended him for bringing succor to the infrastructure deficits in the state.
Now to tourism, and in its bid to develop that sector, the federal government says it is ready to partner with relevant stakeholders to showcase the Farinrua Falls of Nasarawa State on the global tourism map. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, who disclosed this when he visited the falls, challenged the legislators representing the area to include the provision of infrastructure in the area in their constituency projects to hasten the government's plan. Our correspondent Halima Gayom has more.
The beauty of nature at its best. Water like white smoke gushing down the mountain of Masinga village of Wamba local government area of Nasarawa state. As it appears, it is nicknamed Farinrua, which means white water in the Hausa dialect. Magnificent it is, spectacular, just like Canada's Niagara Falls or Zambia's Victoria Falls or any other around the world, yet unexploited. Previous efforts to utilize its potential appears ineffectual. Today, Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture is visiting the site. Led by the Deputy Governor alongside other functionaries, he signs the register and moves uphill to the falls. He throws a challenge to the legislators representing the area. Then he reveals the plan of the federal government.
Why can't some of our federal legislators from this part of the country, from this state in particular, make the construction of this road a constituency project? It will be worth it.
The people boast about the value of the natural feature beyond their locality.
It's an avenue where the localities, all the local people will benefit. It's an avenue where the local government as a whole will benefit. It's an avenue where the state as a whole will benefit, and possibly the country in general.
This is as they roll out their drums in anticipation. The site also has a dam which saw the Federal Executive Council approve 8.1 billion naira last year for its completion. While the commitment is to achieve mainly irrigation farming, water supply and hydropower, Governor Abdullahi Sule desires more.
The federal government now agreed and gave the contract. As I'm talking to you today, they are constructing the dam. So after constructing the dam, then what? They will now do irrigation. Okay? So for us in Nasarawa, while we love irrigation, we're interested in power. We're interested in tourism. So you can see there must be partnership in that area.
Waterfall is significant in Africa for being among the highest, whose water drops a total of 150 meters. Also listed as a World Tourist Site by the World Tourism Organization, this place has the capacity to boost the country's tourism potentials and also generate huge revenue. But this can only be achieved if the plan of the government comes to fruition. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
Port Harcourt-born music star Burna Boy, who recently won a Grammy Award for the Best Global Music Album, has been conferred with a prestigious state honor by the Rivers State Government. At a homecoming concert and reception organized by the state government, Governor Nyesom Wike conferred on Burna Boy the second highest honor of Distinguished Service Star of Rivers State. Burna Boy is to share the title, which is only given to outstanding citizens of Rivers State, with the likes of the Deputy Governor and the Speaker of the State House of Assembly.
It's a hall with over 5,000 people as the River State government honors one of its own, Burna Boy, who is standing twice as tall in the global music scene after winning in his category at the last Grammy Awards for Best Global Music Album. It's a special night for residents as a new narrative is being told about a state predominantly known for its oil and gas businesses.
This victory on the world stage underscores the ability of raw talent in our state. It underlines our ability to focus on our goal, project, and our identity and diversity, our quest for greatness.
One after another, Rivers-born artists and those with entertainment roots in the state take the stage.
Then you wanna try, you go down. It been a lifestyle for a long time, but then no one believe. All of them come back, say you wanna try.
Then the highlight of the night's event.
We are going to bestow on our son the second highest award in the state, as recognized by law. We are awarding him DSSRS, Distinguished Service Star of River State.
Burna Boy, whose real name is Damini Ugulu from Ahoda West local government area of River State, was earlier received by the state government at the executive chambers of the Government House in Port Harcourt.
And now to the arts. Landscape and Beyond is an exhibition by two artists in the My Dream Gallery in Lagos. It features different images that capture the beauty of nature. Watch.
Landscapes and Beyond is a recent salon of paintings by two contemporary artists, Joseph Ayilero and Oluwafemi Otoiki, at the Midrim Gallery.
This exhibition is an exhibition of landscapes. People haven't been able to go to their hometowns or to their villages for fear of different things. There are the insecurity issues, there are financial challenges, and then the plague. And so this exhibition has been able to bring their hometowns, their villages back to them in the city.
As the title suggests, nature's beauty is once again brought to the fore by these two painters.
I normally use vibrant colors in my paintings. You see, it depends on the mood, then the time of the day. Most especially, I normally captured the morning setting and the evening. Why? Because in this our landscapes, in our area here, you see that the days are very bright, especially when it is in the morning, and you see the brightness of the day, which you see, especially in nature, it reflects the mood, then the atmosphere which we have here, which is at times it brightens people's life in their daily activities. So I normally capture, because at times the color may be muddy, but I like to use vibrant colors.
It's depicted in its different skylines like morning glow, morning grey, glow on the mount, sweeping sky, and other images. While Oluwafemi Otoiki, who is the other exhibiting artist, is focused on the environment and its colors, which he documents on his canvas.
The style is realism, even though I try to take it a little bit further. Some will say it's photography painting, but when you look at the work, it goes beyond photography, in the sense that when I paint, I try to impose myself. I don't just copy directly from photograph or directly from nature. I impose. At times I change the mood. I impose myself, change the mood, change the colors to suit what I want not what the picture is saying.
Through over 30 works of art, the artists revealed that nature is truly wonderful, alive, and inspiring.
More stories from beyond our shores. The UK's Culture Secretary, Oliver Dowden, says more than 30 million people in the country have had a first dose of COVID vaccine. Data shows more than 3.5 million adults have now received their second dose. The UK is administering 3 vaccines, the Pfizer-BioNTech, Oxford-AstraZeneca, and the Moderna jabs. Here's more in the Global Update.
The details of supply chains.
The British Culture Minister, Oliver Dowden, also says the UK has planned for people to get their second coronavirus vaccine doses. Without going into details of supply chains, he said Health Secretary Matt Hancock has indicated the UK will start to see doses of the Moderna vaccine given in the coming weeks. Over in France, police patrolled the banks of the River Seine in Paris in an effort to remind people of the restrictions put in place as the country fights rising numbers of COVID-19 infections. French authorities imposed a lockdown 2 weeks ago for the Paris region, and a nightly curfew is into place with people limited in how far they can travel from home. Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre opened to the public for Palm Sunday, allowing Christians to attend Mass at the start of the Holy Week on the site where they believe Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead. With more than half of the population of Israel having received 2 vaccine doses, coronavirus restrictions were eased to allow small congregations to gather with social distancing measures in place. Finally, Gibraltar has dropped its law enforcing outdoor mask wearing after most adults in the British territory on Spain's southern tip were vaccinated against COVID-19. People wandered around downtown Gibraltar without masks after authorities also lifted a nighttime curfew from last Thursday evening, allowing bars and restaurants to stay open until 2 a.m. The killing of at least 100 anti-coup protesters in Myanmar has drawn global outrage, with defense ministers of 12 nations condemning the military. Countries are angry because while the security forces killed protesters on the streets, military generals attended a gala to mark the annual Armed Forces Day, which commemorates the start of Myanmar's military resistance against Japanese occupation in 1945. Footage of the violent crackdown in several wards in Kachin State by Myanmar security forces on Saturday have been making the rounds online, as police both in uniforms and plainclothes opened fire on protesters. Protesters were seen carrying out an injured man in Hilang Township in the Yangon region, ducking over amid sounds of gunfire, also on Saturday, which was the bloodiest day since the coup on February 1st. 1 day later, across Myanmar, opponents of the ruling junta mourned the killings of at least 114 people by security forces, but vowed to keep protesting to end army rule. Children were among those killed on Saturday. And yet a party held Saturday night, marking the Armed Forces Day. The US accused Myanmar's security forces of a reign of terror. Defense chiefs of a dozen other nations, including the UK, issued a rare joint statement condemning the military's violent actions. The US, Japan, and Australia were also among the signatories to a statement that said, "A professional military follows international standards for conduct and is responsible for protecting, not harming, the people it serves." More than 400 people have now been killed in the suppression of protests in Myanmar since the February 1st coup. Super Eagles of Nigeria have qualified for the African Cup of Nations for the 16th time after beating Benin Republic on Saturday in Porto Novo. But the 3-time champions have a date with Lesotho in their final qualifying game at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos.
Playing for the Super Eagles of Nigeria in Lagos, comes with its own unique experience. This is because Lagos houses the National Stadium and the Teslim Balogun Stadium, both in Surulere, where historic moments such as the 1980 and 2000 African Cup of Nations finals were played. After 10 years, the Super Eagles will grace the Teslim Balogun Stadium to wrap up their qualification campaign for next year's African Cup of Nations in Cameroon against Lesotho on March the 30th. This generation of Super Eagles look forward to making their own memories in Nigeria's most famous state, where the national team has enjoyed remarkable success.
Yeah, we're really happy. I think just being here in Lagos as well for the camp is something nice. We feel like we're close to the fans. Every time I've come through Lagos, I see how much football lives here.
Coming back to Lagos for me is my second experience playing in Lagos, because I've been in this stadium, I think 10 years back. So I think for them, they will not understand that because most of the fans are not coming out to watch the game. So if all the fans are going to watch, that is when they will understand playing is in Lagos. You have to give all your best to know what you can do so that you win the game, because the fans are so crazy.
I think the grass will be okay. We will also have some fans. It's wonderful to play against with the fans, because the players are not used to it. They will be happy.
In the midst of the enthusiasm, football lovers ask that Lagos remains the home base for future international matches involving the Super Eagles.
Every national team needs a home, somewhere it can belong to. And Lagos used to be that home. Unfortunately, things happened and they had to move around. But we're happy to see them back. Now, I think the next step would now be to provide a befitting home inside the home, within the home.
Lagos is the city of football. That's why they call it the sports city. It's the city of sport entirely. So I don't think they understand. They will not be the fans to actually be in the crowd to actually make them understand that, look, when you're playing for Nigeria in Lagos, you don't lose.
The game against Lesotho will be played with selected fans in the stands owing to the COVID-19 safety protocols, meaning the players will likely miss the roar of the vociferous Lagos spectators.
8 matches were decided today in the Nigeria Professional Football League with Nasarawa United, the biggest winner on the day. The Lafia-based team thrashed Abia Warriors 5-3 with Silas Wankwo on a hat-trick. In Port Harcourt, Godwin Aguda's first half goal was enough for Rivers United to take all 3 points against Sunshine Stars. In other results, Mfon Udo got a brace in Aqua United's 3-0 win over Lobi Stars. Plateau United defeated Rangers 2-1. Kano Pillars also recorded some scoreline over Heartland, while Kwara United maintained their top spot on the table by securing a precious 2-1 away win at Katsina. Meanwhile, Warri Wolves continued their fight to escape from the relegation zone with a 3-1 win over Ifeanyi, while the match between Adamawa and Wiki Tourists ended goalless. And the main news again, members of the Igbo social-cultural group Ohanaeze Ndigbo have mandated its leaders to ensure that the Igbos produce the country's next president in 2023. The members were speaking during a meeting with Southeast leaders in Imo State over the weekend. And the killing of over 100 anti-coup protesters in Myanmar has drawn global outrage, with defense ministers of 12 countries condemning the country's military. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.